Welcome to Knockhill Racing Circuit for the first round of the 2013 Scottish 600 Superstock Championship. The biggest grid that we have in Scotland. It's always really good close racing action, as we saw last year. We've got some familiar faces back, some new people in the championship as well, and we're all looking forward to an action-packed year. We are here at Knockhill Racing Circuit in Scotland, 1.2 miles. It is the premier circuit in Scotland, and we've got an opportunity to have a look around the circuit, show you some of the corners and what these guys face when they race here at Knockhill. And I'm joined by a man who knows the place really, really well, co-commentator, ex-British Superbike racer. You've won who knows how many races around this place, so you know it really well. Let's have a wander down towards the first corner, Dennis. This is the quickest part of the circuit, or it is here, until obviously this is where you want to start braking for the first corner, see it curves. Yeah,
as you come up over the start-finish straight, you're carrying a lot of speed. You know, you're probably doing 165, 170 mile an hour on a Superstock bike, so it's very high speed as you come up over the top. The end of the white line as you come out of the pit lane, that is kind of the latest of the braking areas. You know, once you get to the end of that white line, you can't really brake any later than that. You're down through the gears, you're into fourth gear, and getting yourself settled, ready towards the top of See It Curve, one of the critical corners. You don't want to go in there too fast. If you're running too deep, you lose your speed as you go through Leslie's at the bottom. You've kind of got to be mid-circuit as you go down. You're on the throttle, you're driving down the hill, keeping it all nice and smooth, getting it nice and tight to the left of the bottom. You're getting yourself settled, and then on the brakes before you approach Scotsman Corner. But getting this key area right can make or break a race, you know. Once you're getting towards the top of Duffus, if you've got this bit spot on, you're going to create and keep that momentum going as you go through downwards the bottom of Leslie's, and it's it can make the difference between a second or a second and a half in terms of a lap time. Just making one mistake in one corner has a knock-on effect throughout the lap.
You'd say in the fear factor, this has got to be the scariest part of the lap. It's really high speed, and if you have a look at the corner, you'll see how blind it is. It completely disappears out of view from you there, and it's also the first corner as well. So when the guys come off the grid and they're all tightly packed together, this is what they face. It's got to be a hairy thing on a bike at the start of the race.
I can't say anything's kind of scary on the bike. It's exciting. You know,
looks scary to me.
You don't really get feared, but obviously for the start of a race, you know, you've got 36 bikes charging down towards the first corner. I know for one that I want to be towards the sharp end of the field. You don't want to really be mid-pack, and cause that's when things start to get bunched up and it gets a little bit hairy. But the guys at the front, once you've gone through, you can kind of make a bit of a breakaway. If you're stuck mid-pack off the start, get a bit of a sluggish getaway. By the time you pass the traffic that you're with, the faster guys at the front have pulled away, and it's very hard to try and catch that back up. So getting a good start is critical. But once you go in towards the first corner, at the start of a race, it's obviously not as high speed as what it is once you get running on the track as a clear lap. But there's 4 or 5 different lines that you can take. You can try and go around the outside of people as you're going down the hill. You can also keep it nice and wide and then cut them on the back on the inside as you go down towards Scotsman Corner.
Not the easiest place to overtake though, you'd imagine, because you're not braking for that long, so it doesn't really give anybody a chance to brake later than you, because you're braking for such a short distance anyway through this section here, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, you're on the brakes hard initially, and obviously you're down through the gears using the engine braking to help slow you down, chill braking all the way towards your apex, aiming for the white line as the blind crest kind of drops away at the top of Duffus.
Well, that's what I was going to say next. We've got this painted curb on the inside, which is obviously the apex of the corner, what everybody's fighting for. And is that really what you're aiming for on a bike, just to get to that apex? Or I suppose with this corner, because you've got a sequence of corners after it, you need to really think about what you're doing once you go beyond the brow of the hill, I'd imagine.
Yeah, like I say, it's critical you get the right speed in towards the top of See It Curve, because if you run wide as you go down the hill, you then got to lose all your speed as you go through the left at Leslie's at the bottom. It puts you wide. Whereas if you get the correct line at the top, you can drive on the throttle nice and hard as you go down the hill, get the bike nice and tight to left, and you carry momentum throughout the rest of the lap. Going wide here at the top of Duffus, if you're doing a qualifying lap, it's one lap. If you run wide, you know that lap's in the bin.
I've also seen a few times with the superbikes, I've seen you do it as well, when they brake into this corner, the bike's obviously upright and you're braking, it's obviously back here somewhere. They're on the brake and you'll see some air under the back wheel of the bike as they head into this corner. That's got to be frightening.
Well, it's obviously the hill starts to drop away from you as well, so when you're braking, naturally the rear wheel's going to want to pick up in the air anyway, but you're grabbing on the brakes hard, so sometimes you do see the back end of the bikes kicking up in the air and churn 4 or 5, 6 inches in the air before you get settled for the corner. But when you're on the bike, it doesn't feel anywhere as bad as what it probably looks like for you guys out there. It just feels a normal kind of thing out on the race bike.
Our first Superstock 600 race of the day is forming up behind me in the Holden Bay, and as you can see by the amount of bikes and the amount of people, it really is one of our most popular classes. Great big grid. We've got great tight racing at the very front, and we've also got close racing right the way down to the field. Really good championship. I want to speak to the number 94 machine on pole position of Greg Gilfillan. Greg, if I can grab you for a second. I watched both races yesterday, the Saturday races. What a performance. Michael Robertson really set the pace in this class before, and you fended him off in both of them. He gave you a hard time, but you took 2 wins.
Yeah, it was hard work. Throughout both races I was just pushing it non-stop, but towards the second race my plan was to try and stick behind them, but somehow I managed to keep in front the whole race apart from the last lap. But it was a great battle. I enjoyed all of yesterday.
What also is really impressive is this is only your second full year. I remember you winning races in this class with your orange bib on last year. Obviously got a bit of natural talent about you, but the lap times in particular are so quick. It's almost like British Championship pace that you're running in the Scottish Championship.
Yeah, I've just been enjoying myself lately, and seem to the lap times are coming down the more I enjoy it. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just enjoying it really.
You were saying to me yesterday as well, you were worried if your tyres were going to last the distance, but before the tyre warmers went on, I saw that they were new. Front and back were both new today, is that right?
Yeah, new for today, so should last the whole day, I think.
And they'll be good to go straight away. You don't need to scrub them in or anything. They had the stickers on them still. They're good to go straight away.
Yeah, a couple of warm-up laps. They'll push in the warm-up laps just to get them going, and they should be alright after that.
Good luck. It's a brave man to bet against you. Good luck with this one. Let's have a chat to the opposition. Michael Robertson, who I mentioned. Michael will know from racing in this class for a few years. Mike, if we can get a chat with you on the number 98 machine. I was just saying, dominant force in this class previously, but Greg, he's coming on strong, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I was coming up here. I've not been here since last year, but Greg's the man to beat round here. I was watching him from the British Championship round onwards to the tail end of last year, and he come on so much, and I'm glad he is, because it's good to come up here and get some competition. And between our lap times yesterday, I mean, they were fairly quick for the conditions as well. So hopefully we can continue it today and then see how it comes.
You're both running, like I said to Greg, both of you guys, apart from everybody else, you two guys are running a British Championship kind of pace. You're both competing in the British Championship as well here at Knockhill. Is this a test session for you to try to make sure that you guys are at the front when the British Championship visit us?
Yeah, we just got another engine there, so we're pretty much running it in, and we've had a few teething problems yesterday, so trying different gearing and stuff as well. But yeah, this weekend's pretty much a test session, and then hopefully we can get some good information and come back at the British and get a podium result.
Obviously that's important, but when the lights go out and it's a race at the end of the day and you've got the spectators and Greg's there, surely that switches off a little bit and you think to yourself, I want to win this.
Well, yeah, I done the same yesterday. I thought the first race I'll just go out and treat it as some track time, but as you say, the minute the lights go off, it's the racing starts, so it's game on from there. So yeah, see how it goes.
Good to see you back racing. Have a good one.
Thank you.
There we go. This is going to be a cracker of a race, I guarantee it. I'll hand it to Dennis and Duncan and they will take you to the massive starting order.
Okay, so welcome to Knockhill. Thank you very much, Joe Tanner. Great seeing Joe and Dennis on track earlier on, giving us that little bit of a track walk down at St Curves there. I'm Duncan Vincent, and I'm joined in the box as ever alongside me. We've got the lovable Dennis, who you've just come back from the circuit there. Dennis, how are the conditions out there for a start?
Absolutely perfect out there at the moment. Nice and dry, and just a little bit of breeze in the air.
So, Greg Gilfillan is on the front row from Michael Robertson and Paul McClung. I was always going to get that wrong, so I may as well get it wrong right at the top. Sorry, Greg. Shan, Shelcock and Johnston are the second row of the grid, and you can see Dean, Chalk and Mearns with Tasker, Cumming and Cooper. So we're running 3 in a grid here, which is a big step forward for us. McIntyre, Fleming and Duncan, with Brown, Cook and Fozzard in 18th, Campbell, Purry and Cathal Lafferty in 21st, with Hutchison, Smart and Christie down in 24th place on the grid. Superstock's always given us a huge field, a massive field, and you can see Jackson, Cunningham and Bowen, with Nicol, Ferguson and Kerr. Matthew Kerr all the way down there in 30th position on the grid then.
Yeah, fantastic grid for the Superstock 600. There's actually a few of the guys never qualified for this race, which will go into the pre-injection 600s later on.
So the bikes coming up towards their grid slot just now. We see a lot of weaving about there. That one man weaving about, Paul McClung. Keep your eyes on young Paul McClung, a graduate from the Mini Twin Championship last year, as we see Greg Gilfillan lining up in pole position on the number 94 bike, and Mick Robertson, number 98, lines up alongside him. There's quite a bit of breeze in the air, quite blustery, as you can see a red flag man at the top of the hill there, really struggling to hold on to that. The camera even vibrating about as well. So conditions lovely and dry, but we've got to say, Dan, they're very windy.
Yeah, for sure, and also a few new riders to the club. Look, the good guy there, number 42, Luke Johnson, over from Northern Ireland, doing a fantastic job so far.
So here we go, the revs rising, the red lights are on, the Bitson's bound by bridge, and away we go down towards St Curves for the first time. Everybody gets a cracking launch as they head down underneath the bridge, and it's Gilfillan, and it looks like McClung's trying to go up the inside of Robertson, but it's not to be. Shellcock slots into third place as Shand has a fight with that newcomer to the club. Luke Johnson, from County Antrim there. Shand does get the better of him as they go through Scotsman Corner for the first time of asking, but away at the front is the two British Championship regulars. It's number 94 Greg Gilfillan and Mick Robertson, and who's that? We've lost somebody down at the bottom of St Curves. Leslie's for the first time of asking. We'll hopefully get a visual on that later on as we come through, but for the first lap then it is Robertson chasing Gilfillan towards the hairpin.
Yeah, for sure, these are the guys we expected to be at the front, and young Paul McClung there hanging in behind, doing a great job. You know, it's his first season on the Superstock 600. He's got a championship where he's got people he can compete with and chase. Now, previous years he's been in the mini twins at the front, setting his own sort of times, but he's doing a fantastic job at the moment. We've been impressed with him so far, Duncan.
Yeah, very difficult to get a visual on that bike at the bottom of St Curves, but I'm pretty sure the yellow flags will be well withdrawn this time as the leaders come in, and Gilfillan tips his ZX6R through the top of St Curves. A cracking camera view we're getting this year. We've got a new raised gantry at the top of that corner, and we're getting a really good view of the bikes. You can see them working away at the apex and struggling for a little bit of grip then, just with these tricky conditions.
Yeah, just a little few damp patches in places as well at the moment, but there you've got to be impressed with Michael Robertson. You know, he's running used rubber from the first round at Brands Hatch. He's hanging in there well at the back of young Greg, and the times have been set in practice, qualifying right the way throughout the weekend so far, been absolutely phenomenal, and I'm impressed with Michael Robertson. But young Greg, this is going to give him the spark back, what he needs for the British Superbike Championship rounds coming up later on the year. The first few rounds he's been to, he's probably been struggling, new circuits, new competitors, but this will give him the lift that he needs, and he knows he can ride at the front.
Up the main straight they come, Gilfillan leading the way. Join us after the break.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
So welcome back to Knockhill as we are still locked in this Superstock 600 battle as we see the guys coming through St Curves. It's Gilfillan that leads away from Robertson. In third position we have still got Paul McClung, the rookie in this class, who's really doing an outstanding job. He's a solid little bit of kit. He's a very strong young lad. In last year's Mini Twin Championship, Paul McClung showed us his skill, but graduating up to the Superstock 600 class, we've got to be so impressed with the way he's putting a performance in right now, Den.
Yeah, he's doing every lap, he's consistent, he's smooth, he's doing a great job. He's fending off there Liam Shellcock behind, a guy we've seen in this championship before. But look at Michael Robertson, he's eyeing up the inside of Greg Gilfillan at the moment.
Up the inside, just backs the Yamaha and a little bit past the Kawasaki, and Mick Robertson takes the position from Greg Gilfillan. Now, one thing we have seen from Greg in the past, Gilfillan will not wait, and he'll pounce straight back if he gets the opportunity as they come underneath the Beatson's building supply bridge. The bike's using as much track as they possibly can, and these young men, I was standing back watching them going through their practice, Dennis, and the speed that they can carry into the top of the hill from the turning point to the apex is huge compared to several other guys in the class. They really are the class of the field, and obviously racing in the British Championship this year really helped them.
Yeah, for sure, but we also saw these guys last year at the British Superbike Championship we had here. Michael Robertson finished on the podium in the National Superstock 600 Championship, and then young Greg was being chased hard at the sharp end of the Knockhill Motor Sports Club that runs alongside the British Superbikes, and we're looking forward to that coming up again this year. And we also know for the Knockhill Motor Sports Club champion of 2013, they're going to get the 2014 entries fees paid into the Superstock Championship, as young Greg has got this year for the British Championship.
Yeah, Greg Gilfillan making good use of that prize fund. But in third place, we'll just hopefully get a little look at them. We've got Paul McClung and Liam Shellcock absolutely together. There they go past us now. Shellcock's having a look up the inside. Shellcock's got the legs on the main straight, but it looked like McClung had just started to fight that off as we pick back up with the leaders. But back in the mid-pack now, we've got a lot of fast people back there. We've got Jody Chalk, we've got John Dean, we've got the lovable Sammy Tasker in there as well. We've even got Mark Cumming, and we've got a yellow flag at the top of St Curves there, Dennis. Has somebody managed to run on and have lost somebody? And there's a bike that looks like that's a 39 Kawasaki, I believe, there in the gravel trap. That's Stuart McIntyre, who we have lost Suzuki. So Stuart just tipping himself off a novice rider, having a very good showing, but unfortunately ends up in the gravel at Scotsman.
Yeah, for sure, but just looking back to this battle, Sammy Tasker's doing a great job to be at the sharp end of this. John Dean, a guy we expected to be further up, but one person we expected to be further up was Jodie Chalk. She was leading races last year and challenging for podiums, and she's just just having a little bit of a slow start to the season, but she'll get faster as the season goes on.
As we see John Dean going up the inside of Jodie Chalk there, not giving Jodie much in the way of room. Jodie on the Pro Scott Triumph there. As we said, yeah, a cracking year for Jodie last year. Looked like one of the championship favourites, but just not had the start to the season in this race as we're expecting. Sammy Tasker doing very well, staying ahead of the very, very experienced red and black bike of Angus Mearns as they both make their way into Scotsman Corner. Mearns goes up the inside of Sammy Tasker and makes that one stick, as we have got another retirement at the hairpin. They're very difficult to get the numbers on these bikes for us today.
Yeah, but that was just a mechanical breakdown there. The guy was just taking his bike off to the side of the track, so frankly he hasn't flown up the circuit, which is a good thing.
New camera point at the exit of the John O'Ware chicane, looking down on the riders as they come through and head up towards Clark Curve, and then we get a great view. This is a Superbike camera as we see them coming through Clark and heading round towards the Hislops. This could technically be a battle for the lead. The way that those guys are going, the names that are in there, but having said that, a further 10 seconds up the road, Robertson, Gilfillan, these guys, the class of the Superstock 600 field today, as they come up towards the John O'Ware chicane. You can see how hard these guys are using the track, and also the difference in lines here as we see Robertson going over the second apex at the chicane, and Gilfillan deciding not to use that. There's different reasons for riders wanting to not want to do that. Some people say upsets the bike. Dennis, yourself, are you a man that uses the second apex curb at the chicane?
No, I try and stay off it as you go through the chicane. I use the one on the exit on the left hand side. You see number 30, I think that was, flying himself down the road there, Duncan.
And that bike's landed in the bottom of the road at St Curves there, number 30. Who would that be? If we do get a visual on that, no, maybe not 30, was it maybe 90? We'll pick up on that in a minute anyway. But the bike in a very dodgy position, and out come the red flags. Red flags on the start finish line as Paul McClung's the first man to go through them. But there's exactly the problem with that. The marshal signalling that we need some brushing down here. And the left-hander, that's where it's landed at Leslie's, but I feel, Dennis, that he's tucked the front possibly at the top of St Curves.
Yeah, took the front, probably just gone down over the cross at the top of the new escape road that we have down there, and dragged a little bit of gravel and dirt onto the circuit.
So riders making their way back in towards the pit lane just now, and be ushered into a great shame there. So that gives us the result from that race, and the winner was Michael Robertson. Second place was Gilfillan from McClung and Shellcock. 155 Scott Shand was in 5th place, with Luke Johnson, Angus Mearns and Mark Cumming in 8th position. Let's hand down to Joe Tanner in the pit lane.
Superstock 600, first race of the day on the Sunday. Greg, you won both races yesterday, Greg Gilfillan obviously, and a second place this morning to Michael.
Yeah, it was a hard day yesterday and an even harder day this morning with Michael right behind me the whole time. But as soon as he passed me, I just tried to stick to the back of him, and then hoping I could have got him in the last lap, but then the red flag came out and that was it.
That was my next question. Was that the plan, was just to stick with him and then make a move towards the end?
Yeah, that was the whole plan. I seen he was right on my tail the whole lap, and after yesterday I was pushing it really hard to stay in front of him. So that was the plan that race, but never happened.
In third place again, it's your third of the weekend, Paul McClung, but doing a great job. We've seen you on the wee 125, we've seen you in the Mini Twin, dominant, and now look at this, up into the big class and right to the front.
Yeah, the competition in this class is phenomenal. Times we're doing this weekend's one of the quickest times in BSB, so it's not a slow pace, and it's just getting to know the bike. And we thought we had the bike pretty much sorted, but we came here and with the fast pace it started playing up again, so we're fixing it as it goes and getting quicker and quicker.
Michael, I don't know how many times I've spoken to you as the winner of a 600 Superstock race, but yet again Greg's been giving you a hard time, but you made the move on him. He told me he was waiting till the end to put one back, but it never came.
Yeah, I mean, after the
so he says.
The tail end of last year, to be honest, Greg's been the man to beat. He's been going well, and I'm mega happy coming here and getting a good race with Greg. The two of us are doing British Championship, and it's good to see us two boys getting good pace under the belt, and it's clean racing, to be honest. And I know Greg's really strong coming in the hairpin, and I've made a few changes, and I feel I've got better on the brakes, but I could hear him all the time, constantly digging away, and I'm running old tyres as well. I've seen he had a brand new set of rubber on, so I thought halfway through the race he's going to pick up the pace, I'm going to struggle, but fortunately I got red flags, so it worked my way.
Second Superstock 600 race of the day is almost ready to go, and as ever we have a huge grid. You can see everybody struggling to get packed into where we have for these guys to line up. There's that many bikes. I want to speak to, we know Greg, we've spoken to him a lot. He's won both races yesterday. He was second this morning when the race was cut short. He lost out to Michael Robertson, who won the previous race, and he'll start this one from pole position. But I want to speak to Paul McClung if I can find him. He was sat down here just a second ago. We'll have a wander a little deeper, see if we can. In fact, typically he's on the other side. Follow me this way. Paul, have a quick chat with us on TV. We spoke to you after the first race when you finished third. You've stepped up from the mini twin, wasn't it? Last year, up into the big bikes with the big boys, and what a job you're doing.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I'm loving the new bike, but it's quite a handful to get used to, but we're just learning all the time and getting quicker and quicker.
It seems really bad to say you're off the pace because you're right up the sharp end. It's just unlucky for you that we've got two of the British Championship kind of spec guys here this weekend that are running absolutely on the pace. Is there anything that you can do to jump up to there?
Well, hopefully we'll give it a shot this race. All the races, the race this morning we had a bad back tyre on, so we've got a new one on and see what we can do.
Hopefully, good stuff, good luck. It's great to see. We'll have a quick chat with Greg because I like to speak to Greg, he deserves it. Greg, just another quick one. Tyres, same as before? I see them putting the warmers on them.
Yeah, just same tyres for earlier.
A little bit frustrated with your technique your tactics in the first race when you hung behind Mike?
Yeah, tactics didn't work that time, but I'm still swithering what to do this time, whether to just try and stay behind them or to go for it from the off, but I'll see how it goes.
You're going to try to get to the front and stay there this time?
Yeah, hopefully that's the plan.
Good luck. There we go. This will be an absolutely cracker of a race. I'll hand it to Dennis and Duncan. They'll take you through the grid.
So thank you very much, Joe Tanner, once again in the pit lane, giving us all the information we need. So it'll be interesting to see how Paul McClung gets on this time. As we look at the grid is Gilfillan, Robertson and McClung, your top three from earlier on with Shand. Scott Shand, a veteran, you could say. He could almost be Greg Gilfillan's dad. He won't like me saying that, but he could, and we had a joke about that during the weekend. Shelcock and Johnston round out row number 2 with McIntyre, Chalk and everybody else coming through on your screen there, but notable names far at the back. Cathal Lafferty in number 19th place here, and John Dean in 14th, the ex-British Championship runner. So guys struggling to get up to speed with the start of the new season then.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably going to take these guys a little bit of time to get up to speed. Not many people have had much running this year. And other guys, although in Fozzard, he's actually doing not so bad so far. We're former 400 champion from a few years ago.
Yeah, Fozzie he's been thrown himself up the road quite a few times on the stock bikes, but here we go, the red lights are on and we're away. There's almost a little bit of creeping there further back down with a big black cloud coming over the hill, but it's McClung. Paul McClung gets a fantastic leap to lead as they go through St. Curbs, but Robertson was on the outside of him. Has Mick Robertson held him off? Yes. Robertson gets back underneath him as they go in towards turn 3 and he leads the way. Now Gilfillan will be wondering, who the heck is this in front of me? I haven't seen him before. It's Paul McClung. He's right into the scene and he's at the front. He's got a new back tyre on that ZX6R, so let's see how he can hang in there with these much more experienced men. I'm not going to say older men because they're not, but they're more experienced at the front. Shelcock, then Shan, then that looked like Jody Chalk in the background.
Yeah, Jody seems to have got a decent start. So that's another person we saw get fantastic starts last season as Gilfillan goes up the inside of young Paul McClung. That new rear tyre also giving a bit of extra grip there off the line, and he's getting mega starts. He's just got to try and hang into the back of them as fast as he can, and he'll learn so much just from being behind them in these few races.
Yeah, Mick Robertson has absolutely checked out. Gilfillan does the Neil Mackenzie approach towards St. Curbs, uses the pit exit and gets the thing through. Oh, down goes McClung. He tucks the front end as he goes in towards Scotsman Corner, and he's down, and the ZX6R won't be taking part again. And we've got somebody else off at the hairpin. Is that Mark Bowen? I'll give you a go. It looks like Matthew Kerr actually as he stomps away towards the side of the track, but McClung back at the front tucks it as they go through Scotsman Corner. And who's that? That's Jody Chalk down as well. So it's all happening in this Superstock 600 race here at Knockhill. Jody Chalk looks like she's absolutely perfect, and we've got rain. The rain is now coming down, so out come the red flags nice and quickly, but unfortunately we've lost a couple of riders there, one at the hairpin. But let's see Paul McClung. Dennis, what happened there?
Just as he got to the apex of Scotsman Corner at the bottom there, the front just folded and there was nothing he could do. Once it was down, it was never coming back.
So join us after the break for some more action.
Some of the biggest upheavals in American sports is in the world of motor racing, especially sports car racing. There's mergers, new series being proposed, audiences coming and going, drivers getting younger and younger. That's why you need the Racing Insiders on MAV TV to help you navigate the turmoil. The Racing Insiders is a new, weekly, 30-minute news show covering sports car racing, whether it's being done professionally, globally, or by the local grassroots club. Award-winning journalist Bill Wood will host the weekly discussions, along with race-winning insiders Peter Keene in Florida and Jim Daniels in Tennessee. It's a fast-paced, edgy sports show. They'll even reach out to guest insiders to bring you behind-the-scenes insider information you'll want to know. This new era in sports car racing needs the Racing Insiders.
The Racing Insiders on MAV TV, Thursdays at 2 and 5 p.m. Eastern, and again on Saturdays at noon.
Looks like we need to get a restart. The race hadn't covered enough ground to be called a result, so we have to go back out for a restart. And from our point of view, that's going to be great because it'll be a little bit of a change. Let's butt into this conversation between the two men at the front. First of all, Greg, not ideal. All of a sudden, from absolutely nowhere, it's sunny 1 second, and then the next minute, it's absolute downpour.
I know, it was tricky. I seen the rain start to come through a wee bit, and then it suddenly got worse. So I knew after that I was going to get stopped. I had to get stopped. So.
And they made the right call quick enough, straight away with the red flag when the rain came?
Yeah, well, I'm guessing they were the same. They weren't sure it was going to come to, but it started getting worse around the back. It was really bad over the back of the track, but it was just kind of hard after we bit past us where it just started to get worse, so it was tricky for us.
Looks like we're going to get a restart anyway. Michael, you want a restart?
To be honest, I'll be happy to put the bike in the van now. I'm happy with the result, but if it gets a restart, I don't know where to go out or not. I'm just trying to save my bike, to be honest.
But from a testing point of view, some wet weather settings could be used here, surely, if you're thinking the British Championship could well be wet as well?
Yeah, I know. It's fortunate. I could do some wet tracking, but at the same time, I'm away to Oakland this week, so I would rather keep the bike in one piece.
Well, thank you very much, Joe Tanner, and yes, we are having a restart. It will not be an aggregate race, it will be a 5-lap dash for the cash. And you can see though, looking at the circuit, yeah, we've got some damp patches, but the majority of it actually looks pretty dry. So it's, well, from where we're looking, looks pretty dry. We don't know what the back of the circuit's like, as we see Sean Cooper right in front of us here in the blue R6. And somebody on the front row there with the red flag, and one of the commentators getting well and truly in the road there, really needs to get himself off the front row, off the grid. But yeah, tricky conditions, Dennis.
Yeah, it's tricky at the moment for these guys. It's obviously some of the guys, I think most of the guys have actually got wet tyres on Duncan. It looks like it's going to dry out pretty fast. It'll be interesting to see if anyone's gambled on dry rubber, but I think the main guys at the front, the main protagonists in this one are all on wet tyres. Obviously the only person we're going to miss in there from the previous races is young Paul McClung, who managed to lose the front end down at Scotsman earlier on.
So Luke Johnson's on the second row of the grid from County Antrim here. You can see Luke Johnson on the orange, blue and yellow 42 bike, so keep your eyes on Luke. He's been making progress all weekend as the green flag man jumps at the back. That's Sandy Forest. And the lights on the bridge are on, and we're about to go racing, and away we go. What a cracking start by Mick Robertson. Greg Gilfillan bogged it down, and it looks like Shelco's going on, but Gilfillan's back mid-pack there. So an absolute disastrous start as Cathal Lafferty comes up the inside, and thankfully manages to get that thing round the corner. Cathal well out of position, just having a very bad weekend on that white number 91 R6 Yamaha. But everybody making their way down through the tricky section as somebody goes down and rides over the top of somebody else's bike there. So very, very unlucky was that Sean Cooper. Will pick up on that in just a minute, but the bike's still making its way down the circuit, and that's not really the best, Dennis.
No, I actually think Owen Fozzard managed to hit the side of the bike and went over the top and managed to keep himself going. So Owen Fozzard did a great job there of staying on. We obviously haven't seen that earlier on.
Looks like that could have been Neil Brown there, and we've got a red flag out already, guys. So another red flag comes out. Possibly that machine has dropped some fluid on the circuit, as we see the 42 bike making its way just now. Not 42, definitely, that's it, Luke Johnson. So it makes its way Neil Brown's bike there. Very strange to see a bike running on its side on takeover.
Yeah, normally the tilt switch kicks in and the engine would cut out, so obviously maybe somebody's just got jammed there, but whoever it was, the guys have got it recovered. Rode the starters orders once more, we'll be back away racing again, so these guys are ready for another restart. So
myself and Dennis Hobbs must apologise for getting some names wrong and name checks, but we will get it together as the race season goes on. So the red flag at the front, and we get another restart. So these guys, if your nerves aren't shot already because of starts, they're about to be shot now. Everybody's still hanging about on the pit wall, and we're about to go for another race start here at Knockhill for the Stock 600. Gilfillan's getting a second bite of the cherry. The red lights are on the bridge. Can he make a better start? Yes, he can. Well, not really, to tell the truth. Mick Robertson absolutely rockets away down, and it's Jordan Fleming who's come through into second place. The bike with the silver front, number 69. Jordan Fleming. Gilfillan is third. but not the best of starts as Gilfillan tries to go round the outside of Shelcock. Notice Jordan Fleming, and he does. Good move, Greg, there. Puts a lot of faith in that front tyre, Dennis, because the track conditions are still very, very patchy.
Yeah, it's damp in places. These guys pretty much have got full wets on, Duncan. We saw most of the guys as we come up onto the grid there. It looks like there's only a couple of guys towards the rear that have got dry tyres on, but young Greg there, this is like a Christmas come true, because this restart there has made the difference between him being on the podium and struggling towards the back of the field, because he was down in about 8th or 9th place, but now he's trying to chase down Michael Robertson at the front.
Jordan Fleming, former Mini Twin champion in 3rd place, gets done by Shelcock as they're coming towards the hairpin. Liam Shelcock, ultra aggressive on the Tralley Bay Honda Yamaha there as they come through the hairpin. Give myself a quick punch in the ribs. Good crowd in today. Good crowd in watching these guys for the first Knockhill Motor Sports Club meeting as they come up and over the crest of the hill to click off one of the 5 laps. But at the front, once again, it's that man, the man of the meeting in the Stock 600. It is Mick Robertson, and Angus Mearns goes through just ahead of Luke Johnston. But really, somebody's going to have to do something absolutely hyper or meteoric, Dennis, to catch up with Mick Robertson at the front as Fleming makes a mistake at Scotsman.
Yeah, John Dean just nips up the inside. Michael Robertson looking nice and smooth, and no matter what you say, Duncan, watch him off the line. He's aggressive at the start of the lights. He gets away off the line well and manages to get the whole shot, and instantly pulled probably about a second on that opening lap. So Michael Robertson is the man of the meeting so far, but young Greg doing a great job. He's trying to chase him down lap after lap. Liam Shelcock still sitting there in 3rd, with John Dean 4th, then we've got Scott Shand up into 5th.
As we've heard in the past, it is definitely easier to follow than it is to lead, so Robertson's out front leading, so Gilfillan will be able to get a kind of a marker on that as Scott Shand, the veteran on the 600 Kawasaki, makes a move on Fleming at the hairpin, but Gilfillan will be putting in a charge. He has not got long to go, and the lap times, Dennis, considering they're out there just now on damp conditions, the lap times are still pretty hot. They're in the 56-second bracket just now as we watch Shand and Fleming going down through Leslie's, through St Curves, turn 1, turn 2, then into turn 3. All happens very quickly here. Scotsman is turn 3, and you've got to get a good exit from that. That's where we saw one of the bikes go down early on, which caused one of the red flags. But there's Owen Fozzard, yellow bike with the black sides. Owen Fozzard ahead of Angus Mearns and then Graham Pirrie and Chris Cook as well. Chris Cook, who we've actually not seen too much. We saw him retire earlier on, but Cookie was a quick man last year.
Yeah, for sure, he had some cracking rides last season. And like I say, the same old scenario, Duncan. I think for a lot of these guys, they've not been out at all this year testing. They're coming straight to a race, mate, doing a great job. Caffel Abbott looks like he's making a few places from the back of the grid there, chasing down Luke Johnson in the background. Yeah,
there wasn't a testing ban, just snow basically hampered everybody's testing, and not just in Scotland, absolutely everywhere. So it's been a bit of a weird winter. This is technically, East Fortune was their first time on the bike, and this is maybe some of their second time out. But as we pick up with Chris Cook trying to get past Graham Pirrie, further down the midfield there, can Cook do it? He's having to brake on the wet line, so straight away that's going to put him on a slight disadvantage as they come through St Curves and down the bottom of the hill again. The track's starting to look quite dry there, but every time you tip into a corner it starts to look wet when you're on the side of the tyre.
It's one of them as a rider as well. These guys are going to be ultra smooth as well when it's like this, because it's so easy to chew up a rear tyre. As you're getting on the throttle on the exit, you can see most of it's dry. At mid corners it is quite damp in places, Duncan, but the actual main racing line is such to a point it's dry everywhere, and you've got to be so careful as Chris Cook, who just goes with the inside of Angus Mearns there, was it?
Yeah, good move, Chris Cook getting past Graham Pirrie. It was further down. Luke Johnson's just tailed off the back, and is that Cathal Lafferty up behind Luke Johnson? It looks like it is. White bike, white helmet. But back at the front we have got the last lap flag out for number 98, Mick Robertson, as they come through the top of St Curves, and he's just done a 54.4 second lap there as Dennis points to the computer screen. So absolutely nothing wrong with these track conditions. The guys hanging in there, 54 second laps, maybe 3 or 4 seconds off what they do in the dry, but still an incredibly quick pace as we tail Robertson all the way through the first corner area. But now we go back to that battle in with Chris Cook and number 88 Graham Pirrie.
Yeah, Chris Cook doing a great job, looking nice and smooth there, chasing down Angus Mearns. But Owen Fozzard, I'm impressed with Owen. Owen's getting to the knack of the 600s now, improved from the 400s. He struggled on the 600 a bit last year, but this time he's looking nice and smooth as Michael Robertson comes into hairpin for the final time.
Yeah, possibly not sure where Greg is there. He's in the middle of the road, possibly defending, but Mick accelerates out the hairpin and guns the Yamaha up towards a well-deserved victory and a checkered flag. Robertson wins on the road and the race from second place, a little distant this time, Greg Gilfillan. And that's a cracking race. Mick Robertson is going to be happy with that one. He did say he'd be quite happy to load the bike up into the back of the van and head off home, but he'll be happy with that one. He's made it 2 out of 2 here at Knockhill on a rather tricky track conditions. So Michael Robertson from Greg Gilfillan, and again Liam Shelcock in 3rd place. John Dean from Scott Shand with Mark Cumming, Jordan Fleming, and 8th place for the lovable Owen Fozzard. Let's hand down to Joe for the post-race interviews.
Greg, another second place today, fine results, good mileage for the British Championship, but not overly chuffed.
No, a bit disappointing there, but Michael was pushing it. I seen him, well, his pace was fast, so I tried to hold on to him throughout the race, but it just wasn't happening. I just thought I'd settle for second.
Do you think the conditions were right for the wet tyre?
Yeah, definitely, but I struggled for a setup. I made a few changes to the front suspension before I went out, and I guess it didn't really help.
You've got a big race meeting next weekend, so I guess that's kind of playing in the back of your guys' mind as well.
Yeah, and then the fuel light came on at the starting grid as well, so that was never good.
How long do you get on the fuel light?
Well, there's a whole race, but I don't know how much I'll take out. I need to have a look and see. But I thought I was going to run out of fuel, but thank God I managed to finish the race.
Well done this weekend.
Cheers, Ta.
Liam, first time we've seen you on the podium this weekend. It was Paul there, but you've managed to nip him when the wet conditions came.
Yeah. I mean, it was really weird conditions. It was like kind of dry, wet, and I had a brand new set of wets on, so I just kind of had to see what the grip was like, pace myself, and see what I could do.
It was that kind of in between. I mean, could you have got away with a dry tyre in that and maybe gone to the front?
Well, if the race was longer, maybe, but I think at the time you would have lost with the dry, it was better being in the wet because you could push.
I haven't seen you up here for a wee while. Are you going to do the full Scottish Championship, or are you dipping into the British Championship and stuff as well?
Well, we're going to do the full Scottish Championship here, put a few Thundersport rounds in, and I think we're going to do the British here and see how we go on. I mean, we're the second time out on the bike in 8 months, so we're just kind of taking it as we go.
Good to see you back. Well done. Back on the podium.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Michael Robertson, back where you belong, in your opinion, I would imagine. You got beat yesterday a couple of times, but you put that right today.
Yeah, that was a hard race, to be honest. It was mental in my head there. When we went out in the warm-up lap, and it was a lot of dry patches when you're on the brakes, but hitting the apex it was really wet, and then when you got to get on the power again it was dry, so it was, because I was at the front, it was hard to set a pace. And to be honest, I was thinking I heard a lot of bikes at the back of me, so I thought I was going to get past, but I didn't realise I'd actually gapped a bit. So no, I'm happy still. I mean, it's good to go out and ride in them conditions and see how you can cope with it.
And in the back of your mind, next weekend, a big race meeting in the British Championship at Oulton Park in just 7 days' time for you. That must be playing on your mind a little bit.
It was there, especially when we're sitting in the garage after we changed the wets. I could see it drying really fast, and I was wondering why they were waiting so long, and then we ended up going, and when I went in the warm-up lap I seen it was pretty dry, but at the same time there was a few wet patches, so to be honest it was the right decision on wets. And also in the back of my head, trying to keep the bike in one piece was the hardest part.
Well done, back to your winning ways.
Yeah, thank you.
So as we see the guys on the podium, the trophies supplied by John Young Signs, a new club sponsor, and some cracking trophies these guys are taking away today.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
The final 600 Superstock race is ready to go behind me. A huge grid as we've had all day, as we've had for the last couple of years. The usual guys will be back at the front, I'm sure of it. Back to dry weather tyres, bone dry conditions. Let's dive in. We'll have a chat with Liam Shelcock. Liam, racing return, you mentioned you haven't been here for 8 months, but back on the podium in the last one. And now you've got no confusion with any rain, it's just bone dry conditions. You want to see a win?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to try and just see what the front two are doing, because they've been setting a pretty blistering pace. I've been getting faster and faster, so if I can keep up with them, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you can't argue with the pace of these guys, can you? I mean, it's like British Championship pace at the front, but it'd be nice to see you up there making it a three-way scrap, or a four-way scrap if you include Paul.
Exactly. It'll be pretty interesting. It'll be a really good race if it happens. I hope it does.
We'll have a chat with Sammy Tasker. You'll recognise Sammy. She was a Formula 125 champion. Sammy, swing around this way. Pink bike. You were right up, 6th or 7th in one of the races today, right up the sharp end, and it's gone a wee bit pear-shaped now.
Yeah, it was kind of dodgy conditions. I wasn't really too sure how hard to push. There was a crash, it got red flagged, restarted. I kind of lost my rhythm. Just tried to stay on for as long as possible. But it was good. I enjoyed that. Learnt loads, so good.
Full dry conditions now. We're going to see you go back to the front.
Well, fingers crossed. I just need to focus on getting a good start, and then hopefully see what we can do.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Dennis and Dunk, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Joe Tanner, for this race. We see the bikes leaving the holding area, and yes, we have got some lovely dry conditions now. So this should be a return to form for the guys at the front. Let's see, though, what the young man Paul McClung can do. Last man out the garage. Can he get from the back of the grid all the way to the front? As is your front row of Robertson, Gilfillan and Shelcock. with the club sponsors coming up along the bottom of the screen with Dean, Shand and Cumming. Fleming, Fozzard and Mearns with Cook, Perry and Cooper in 12th position. Dennis, let's quickly talk about Paul McClung. He's starting all the way down at the back of the grid. Can he come through from 24th?
24th place on the grid. He's got a lot of riders in front of him to get through. The only thing I worry about is the likes of Michael Robertson and Greg Gilfinnan. They're going to be miles ahead up the road by the time he gets somewhere near to that gaggle of bikes. So I expect him to probably get into the top 6. Whether he can challenge for a podium or not, I think it's going to be quite difficult, but I wish him all the best.
25th place for Jodie Chalk as well. She's got one heck of a comeback ride to come through from the back of the grid. But here we go, the bikes coming up to once again a lovely dry Knockhill racing circuit. Still a bit blustery. The wind has kind of died down a little bit. Although looking at your hairstyle, you would never have thought that if you come in from outside. So up towards the crest of the hill for the final Superstock 600 race today. A few of these guys are going to be heading down to Oulton Park for the bank holiday meeting for the BSB, and we wish them the best of luck. Robertson, Gilfillan and possibly a few others. John Dean might be included in that, but let's see where this one's going to take us as Mick Robertson. Mick takes off a tear off and he doesn't want to throw that across the track. I wonder where he's going to put that. Has he thrown it away? Doesn't really matter. But the tear off is now clear off that RI helmet, and we're about to go racing here today once this enormous grid of bikes gets lined up on the Knockhill straight. So we wait for the green flag at the back of the grid. That far down the hill he's got to jump up and down. So here we go, Den. Who's going to get the whole shot this time? Is it going to be Robertson? Is it going to be Gilfillan? Or can Shellcock get the jump as they go down towards the first corner? It's Robertson again with an absolute blinder off the start from Mick Robertson. Gilfillan fighting the bike as they come down, and John Dean this time is up towards the pointy end. Yes, John Dean takes third as they go through, as we're on board with Shawnee Cooper as they come through the left-hander in towards Scotsman corner, turn 3, and that's Luke Johnson going round the outside of Chris Cook, but Cook's going to have absolutely nothing of that, but some cracking onboard footage there then.
Yeah, for sure. Luke Johnson, I think, struggled in them damp conditions there earlier on. He dropped down the field, but he's going to have a good battle with Chris Cook and the rest of the guys going forward. And he's going to be another guy that I think is going to make a fair bit of progress during this race.
So as they come up the back straight past the John Young Sign Shelter, a new club sponsor for this year, and head towards the hairpin, in towards the hairpin. Gilfillan's trying the outside. He's going to run out of room pretty quickly there, but Mick giving him just enough room.
We saw earlier on the weekend, Duncan, a collision between Michael Robertson and Greg Gilfillan down towards the hairpin, and Michael was nearly off in towards a gravel track there and doing the same sort of thing, trying to outbrake him but going to the wrong side and making it very, very difficult as the guys going in towards the hairpin, but thankfully they both stayed on. It looks like a great battle at the moment. The first two are spread, they've cleared away from the rest of the field at the moment. It's a battle between John Dean there and Liam Shellcock for 4th place.
You can see just how much of a drop it is as they go through, say it curves in towards Leslie's, and these guys stretching away at the front. But Luke Johnson was right behind Sean Cooper as they come out of the hairpin that lap, and we're getting some good views of a man who hopefully we're going to see back here. Luke Johnson's, we've taken quite a shine to him, Dennis. He presents himself very well, talks very well, and also, that looks like Chris Duncan there heading for the pit lane on a number 19 Kawasaki. But Luke Johnson, yeah, we hope to see him back in action at a later date, as Robertson just does a lovely little back into the hairpin move there, and just starting to put a little bit of a gap between him and Gilfillan.
This opening flying lap, Duncan, a 52.0 by Robertson. That is absolutely rapid.
That's pretty heroic, that, mate, isn't it? 52 flat. Some riders like myself would just dream of having a 52.0. But there's John Dean with Shellcock right behind them now. And down at the hairpin, that looks like number 27. It's not Casey Stoner, but he's into the gravel trap and picking it up. It is Bruce Smart who tips off there, just unloads the front of the hairpin, and down he goes, holds onto the bike, as we saw Paul McClung doing it earlier on. Now, speaking of Paul McClung, can we get a visual on him yet? Wonder where Paul McClung is sitting right now in the lap chat. Looking at the computer screen, you're telling us, Dennis, he's in 9th position right now, from 24th up to 9th, as we pick up with the John Dean, Shellcock, Shand and then Fleming just off the back of them in towards the hairpin.
Yeah, Paul McClunk's got a big task in terms of charging up towards the back of Scott Shand in terms of his spell, John Dean and Angus Mearns.
Yeah, a big tall order definitely to do there. Up the main straight come these guys, and underneath the Beatson's Bridge for another time of asking. But there's a big gap behind Jordan Fleming, so it's going to be a huge amount of work for young Paul McClung to do if he can manage to get through and bridge that gap. Jordan Fleming as well, former mini twin champion, we mustn't forget that. He went away doing the MRO a couple of last year, we should say, as 44 retires there, and that's Andrew Ferguson. So a shame for Andrew, but yeah, away last year was Fleming. Is that McClung coming into view?
It looks like Paul McClung's on a charge there. He's putting in some fast lap times at the moment, Duncan. He's down in the 53-second bracket. The guys ahead of him all doing 54.5, so a second and a half faster he is going at the moment than the guys ahead, and that's the battle for third place. So Paul McClung has got enough laps. There he is now in shotgun underneath the Beatson's Building Supplies bridge just now. He's going a second and a half faster than the guys ahead, and there's enough laps for him to get that third place.
We saw on his board P7 lap 4, so 4 laps remaining in this race, or was he into the 4th lap? They've maybe got their own coded message, but McClung is incoming. You can tell that right now. Fleming will hear that little Kawasaki in his ears in a couple of minutes as it comes through chicane. John Dean on Suzuki gets a really good exit ahead of Shelcock, and the veteran Shan looks for the inside. Has he got him? No, he gets his nose well and truly cut off, but Scott Shan just getting to grips with the 600. Been a big bike rider for quite a few years and a very, very classy rider. As McClung now having a look and goes round the outside of Fleming, so there's one chopped off the list. Paul McClung gets ahead of Jordan Fleming. Now can he make inroads to get further up as Luke Johnston and Angus Mearns with Sean Cooper all attack the Knockhill hairpin?
Yeah, these guys doing a great job. Paul McClung is a man on a mission. He's got to get past people straight away as soon as he catches them, otherwise he's not going to get to that podium battle, Duncan. But you've got to look at the guys ahead. John Dean doing a great job in holding on to third place. At the moment he's under really, really hard pressure at the moment, especially Scott Shan looking really nice and smooth behind him there. Impressed with Scott Shan's riding.
At the front is still Robertson from Gilfillan. Those guys are together and away at the front, showing pure class and true British Championship speed. So we'll look forward to the BSB coming here on the 16th of June and seeing if those guys can do a really, really good showing for us in front of the massive, massive home crowd support that they're going to be having here in Knockhill at Fife. So up towards, once again, Clark Corner. It is still Johnson trailing Angus Mearns, but we'd like to try and see the Paul McClung, but Paul McClung's now got away, and he's got away from Jordan Fleming, as round the outside of Mearns goes Luke Johnson, the 17-year-old from County Antrim. Fair play then, fair play.
Yeah, first time to the circuit, doing a great job. Like you say, he's presented well, turned out he's learned the circuit all the time. His lap times are really strong, and we hope to see him, like you say, back for the British Superbike meeting, and hopefully he can progress on to big things in the future.
17-year-old mechanical engineer at the Queen University of Belfast, so well done to him. Lots of good men have come over the water from Ireland, no more than your friend Marty Nutt and Nut Travel, so Marty will be quite happy. He knows this chap, I believe, as well, so you're getting a little bit more info than I am as we trail Johnson up towards the chicane, through on the 42 yellow, on the orange, blue and white bike, and Angus Mearns is now definitely getting left by Johnson as they go through. Clark, 17-year-old, learning Knockhill for the first time. We do take our hat off and applaud Luke Johnson. But back at the hairpin, look at McClung. McClung comes up the inside of Shelcock, so that's been it's been a huge gap that Paul McClung's got, and he's got one of them. Now can he get the other two?
I hope so, but it looks like the last lap flag's out, Duncan, so he's going to try and get past 2 riders in 1 lap, Scott Shan and then John Dean. It's going to be a hard task, but you know what Paul McClung's like. He's a young lad, he's fiery, he wants to win races, and this is the ideal opportunity for him.
Now can Robertson hold off Gilfillan, because it's through Clark Corner for the last time of asking. They've got a whole pile of back markers ahead of them, but they're not going to come in towards it. Can Gilfillan have a look up the inside? Yes, he comes from an awful long way back. There's almost looked like an incoming Kawasaki into the Yamaha, but he had to have a shot, and you got to take your hat off to Greg Gilfillan as Robertson accelerates up towards the checker flag and wins from Gilfillan in second place. But who's going to get third on the road? That's the one we really are interested about right now, because Paul McClung, what a fight through from the back row off the grid. And John Dean, we're just seeing now, John Dean finishes in third place from Scott Shand and Paul McClung, but a 20-second winning margin from Michael Robertson and Greg Gilfillan. 20 seconds further down the road was John Dean, and that's really going to annoy the rest of these guys in this class. Such was the class of your winner: Mick Robertson from Greg Gilfillan, John Dean, Scott Shand and Paul McClung with Shelcock all together, Jordan Fleming doing a good show, and Luke Johnson holding his own up for Ireland in 8th position. Let's head down to Joe.
A good strong 3rd position finish in the final race of the day. Great result, great way to end the weekend.
It is, yeah. We've been struggling all weekend with brake problems, and that's has just got them sorted, so it's good to be on the podium. That's what I was aiming for at the weekend, and eventually made it.
We're going to see you here for the rest of the year, because I know a couple of these guys might be disappearing off to the BSB.
Yeah, I'll definitely still be here, and no doubt fighting for higher spots on the podium.
Michael, another win, dominant form today. It's like the old days, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was good racing as well, but I mean, mega lap times. But today I thought, right, slept on it, made a few changes again, and thought, let's go for a win. happy with the results so far.
So the points table for the Superstock 600 champion sees Michael Robertson from Greg Gilfillan with Paul McClung up into 3rd place, Liam Shelcock, Scott Shand and John Dean, with the Irishman Luke Johnston 7th and Angus Mearns the veteran down there in 8th position.
Well, there we go. That's all we have time for from the Superstock 600. What a great day's racing. Loads of close action. Please join us later in the year for plenty more.